You wake up tomorrow, and you're Superman. Not watching him, not dreaming about him, being him. At first, this sounds like winning the lottery of existence itself. Flight. Super strength, invulnerability, X-ray vision. The literal power to save the world before breakfast. But within your first week, you discover something nobody ever talks about. Being Superman might be one of the loneliest, most physically confusing, and legally catastrophic things that could ever happen to a human being. Let's break down what actually happens. Hour 1. The body problem: you open your eyes. You feel wrong, too strong. Your hand grips the doorknob and it crumples like foil. Here's the first thing nobody prepares you for. Your nervous system hasn't changed. Your brain still thinks it's operating a human body. Every motion, brushing your teeth, closing a laptop, hugging someone, now carries the force of a hydraulic press. For weeks, you'd accidentally destroy furniture, snap phone screens just by picking them up, and possibly injure people you love without meaning to. Relearning fine motor control at superhuman force output isn't instant. Astronauts spend months adjusting to zero gravity. You'd need a crash course in existing at this power level, except there's no instructor because you're the only student who's ever existed. And that's the least of your problems. The flight nobody warned you about: you step outside and out of instinct you leave the ground. But real flight, actual atmospheric flight without a cockpit, comes with a detail: comic books. Air pressure and temperature change fast the higher you go. At just a few thousand feet, temperatures plummet and oxygen thins. If you're faster than a speeding bullet, you're now dealing with the aerodynamic heating of re-entry level friction against your skin. You're invulnerable, sure, but is your clothing? Every flight you take either ends with you arriving naked, or you need fireproof, friction-proof, temperature-resistant fabric that doesn't exist yet, unless you can somehow create it yourself. This alone becomes a multi-million-dollar R&D problem before you've even saved anyone. The government doesn't wait a week. Here's what actually happens after your first public flight. Within 72 hours, 3-letter agencies have a file open on you. Governments have a documented pattern for this. Anytime a nation encounters a capability it cannot match or counter, the response isn't gratitude. It's containment. That's not speculation. It's the same logic behind nuclear non-proliferation policy, arms treaties, and airspace sovereignty law. A being who can fly faster than an F-22, punch through reinforced concrete, and survive small arms fire isn't treated as a citizen. You're treated as a strategic asset, or a threat, depending on which room in the Pentagon is talking about you that day. You'd likely be approached, quietly at first, with an offer that sounds like partnership but functions like a leash. Work with us. Or we start asking why an unregistered individual with weapons-grade capabilities is operating outside command structure. And if you say no? Every government on Earth now has a reason to develop a contingency plan against you specifically. Kryptonite doesn't exist. But somewhere, a defense contractor is absolutely pitching an anti-Superman initiative, because that's what defense contractors do. Could you even keep your identity secret? Almost certainly not, and here's the actual reason why, beyond someone recognizes your face. Modern surveillance isn't 1978. Every phone is a camera, every street has doorbell footage. Flight paths can be triangulated by satellite. The moment you save someone in daylight, someone's Ring camera has you. Facial recognition software cross-references that footage against public databases in minutes, not months. Clark Kent's glasses worked in a world without smartphones. In 2026, keeping a secret identity isn't a disguise problem. It's a data problem, and data doesn't forget. The money question nobody asks: would you actually be rich? Surprisingly, not automatically. Superpowers aren't currency. You can't deposit flight into a bank account. Unless you actively monetize your abilities, endorsements, government contracts, licensing your image, you're still a person who needs rent money, except now you can't hold a normal job, because showing up to your cubicle after stopping a bank robbery on your lunch break raises questions. Most likely outcome? You become financially dependent on whichever entity is willing to fund you, a government, a corporation, or public donations. That dependency is its own kind of control. The psychological weight nobody shows you. Here's the part documentaries about superheroes almost never explore honestly. The mental toll of always being able to help, and therefore always being blamed when you don't. If you can lift a bus but you're asleep during a fire 3 blocks away, is that fire your fault? Psychologically, humans already struggle with survivor's guilt after tragedies they had no ability to prevent. Now imagine carrying that guilt while actually having had the power to stop it. Studies on caregiver burnout and first responder PTSD show that constant exposure to crisis, combined with the belief that you're personally responsible for outcomes, is one of the fastest paths to severe anxiety and depression. Superman wouldn't just be tired. He'd be the most psychologically burdened person alive. A man who cannot ever clock out because the moment he does, someone might die who he could have saved. Collateral damage is a legal nightmare. Every fight, every rescue, every moment of heroism has a side effect civilians rarely calculate. Property damage, structural collapse, shockwaves shattering windows blocks away. Legally, who's liable for that? In most countries, if you cause damage while acting outside official authority, even with good intentions, you can be sued. Good Samaritan laws protect ordinary rescue efforts, not someone who put a car through a building while stopping a supervillain. You could spend more time in civil court than in the sky. Would the world actually fear you? Public opinion wouldn't stay grateful forever. History shows a consistent pattern. Societies love a savior right up until that savior becomes a variable they can't control. The same crowd cheering your first rescue would, within a year, be split into factions, some worshipping you, some organizing protests demanding oversight, and a growing number quietly terrified that the one being capable of leveling a city answers to no one but himself. Trust is fragile. Power without accountability erodes it fast, even when the power is used for good. After 10 years, assume you survive the assassination attempts, the government pressure, the psychological weight, and the isolation of never fully being human again. What's left? Probably a life that looks less like a comic book and more like a permanent state of emergency. Relationships strained by secrecy, a body that never truly rests. A world that both needs you and resents needing you. You'd have saved thousands of lives and you'd never be able to explain to any of them what it cost you to do it, so would it be worth it? If you're someone who thrives on purpose, who could handle isolation, distrust, and the crushing responsibility of being humanity's emergency backup plan, this might be the most meaningful existence imaginable. But if you're someone who values normal relationships, privacy, mental peace, or simply the ability to have an off day, this life would break you within a year. Superman isn't a fantasy about having power. It's a story about what power takes from you in exchange. So here's the real question. If saving the world meant losing your ability to ever be an ordinary person again, would you still say yes?